and welcome to It's Your Life Own It. I am Marissa Bludorn. I am your host, and I'm so excited to be with you today. This is part two of a series of interviews I am doing with Jeffrey Berger in regards to his whole approach to holistic training and development in the area of self. Just we go through so much in life, and if we don't have the right support system, if we're not in the right environment, it could be to our detriment. And just to wake you up, Own It is all about waking you up to becoming more and more self aware, so that you live a fulfilling life. And so, in our last segment, we talked about Jeffrey's history, how he came to where he is today. And today we're going to talk about him aligning with his purpose for his life. And so, without further ado, I would just like to taking center stage and owning me. It's Jeffrey E. Berger. He is in the house, and we were really going in on the
Yeah,
last session and segment, and we really got into some deep emotional, because it's a lot of emotion. We don't want to talk about the emotional part of life, and the
right,
emotional part of life is where all of the deep essence of how we really process things, and how we allow it to influence our thoughts, how we see things, and then how we're going to continue to show up in the world. And so, in our last segment, we talked about POS, perceived organizational support, how you saw your company after being a software engineer for 27 years. You saw what the company, and
right.
how you felt about the company, and how you felt like they felt about you, and you made a decision. And so, in this session, in this segment, we're going to really focus on how do you align with your purpose, because isn't that a part of what's so important for us to live a fulfilling life, is that
Right.
we truly, authentically find out, get in alignment with our assignment for our lives, our purpose, how we were designed and wired to be. So share with the audience your thoughts right now, and your journey
Yeah,
to purpose.
yeah. So that's really a loaded question, Marisa. But yeah, the journey has been like a roller coaster, and um, I thought I had my purpose, being a software engineer and contributing and helping what I thought was making the betterment of the world from a pharmaceutical perspective. But that has completely done a 360 on me today. And the journey, as many of us know, we learn from the mistakes that we have made. We grow from them. We and hopefully, as we go on in life, that people will realize that they do have a purpose. Some people don't realize that today, but we were put here for a reason. And between the last time we talked and today, my journey started for in 2018 and 19, really exposing the vulnerability side of myself, because I talked about childhood molestation and the chemical
Mhm.
dependency and the suicide. And I was actually doing a live video on Facebook, sharing a little bit about my story, and all of a sudden I had mentioned the two attempted suicides, and like in my head, I'm spitting out the words, but in my head I'm saying, "Oh my God, what did I just say?" My family had no clue about the two attempted suicides, and here I am in my early 60s, and I'm divulging this on Facebook Live. And so that was an awakening for me to say, you know what, I've got a bigger purpose in regards to really sharing my journey, because where we are today and where we were back, where I was back then, we had no internet, we had no social media, there were very few outlets to go to talk
Mhm.
about, coming out as a gay male in the 60s and the
Mhm.
70s, or talking to somebody about chemical dependency and talk about suicide, where today it's mainstream. It is mainstream, and there are outlets for individuals. So, with that purpose, it really, and I'm still fine tuning the purpose, and I think you will agree with me that as we travel um, you know, along our journey, we're going to find certain aspects, we're going to find certain people and other ideas that will influence us to
Mhm.
embrace, because it's about growth. It's about getting out of your comfort zone and being not afraid to hear new things, see new things, talk to people about new things, rather than being in a little round circle and not putting your foot out, because that's where people stay, remain, and they're not open. And that's where I find through my journey of working with people, talking with people, socializing with people, is that so many people are stuck in that element of being a robot. This and the systems that are out there are telling you what to do, what to say, what not to do, and how to take your medicine, and how to do this and how to do that, where we need more free thinking people. We're not taught to
Yep.
think freely. We're not taught to be our own. We're not taught to be the CEOs of our life. We're taught
Yep.
to be, we're taught to be manipulated and listen to what we say because we have the best interest in you, and when in fact they don't. So it's really brought some key elements for my life with regarding to meaning and direction. What is the meaning of my life, and what I want to do, and what the direction that I want to take, and my passion. What am I passionate about? I found new passions as I've left corporate America, because I was stuck in a system that is failing. And what do I contribute? I want to do more contributions. I always wanted to give from a philanthropical perspective, but when you're working 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week, you've got no time, you know. And when you're working paycheck to paycheck, and the economy doubles every 10 years and your salary doesn't, where's that extra money going to come in to, help with organizations? However, I'm going to throw this in there, because what I've learned is that most of these organizations, 95 to 98% of that money that is donated goes to the CEO who's running the company, and less actually goes to the purpose, what their purpose is, which I was blown away to find out some of these salaries of these non-for-profit organizations that are out there doing, philanthropical endeavors, and then my own goals and objectives and my own personal growth. Being away from corporate America has allowed me to develop and grow from a personal and a professional perspective. Yeah, the corporates pay for you to go to school to get educated and get more in tune to which will benefit them, but not benefit us, because it doesn't
Right.
come with a salary increase. It comes with, we don't have the money. So, and then
Right.
the biggest thing is balance, on top of that. So, all of those tied in together with my own journey has been redefined, and it's been an amazing journey. It's been a tough journey in many respects, but with toughness comes gratitude. With toughness comes inspiration, and a new sense of self worth and growth from that.
Right, right, right. That, I mean, you said so much, and I hate to sound cliches, but you did. You said a lot. I want to tap into clarity and purpose and alignment, and you
Yeah.
shared a little bit, and you tapped a little bit on that. Is that clarity comes as evolution, right? So
Hmm.
I like how the Bible says, they who seek me diligently find me. That's the same thing about your purpose and your passion. You have to seek it diligently. There is no clear path to where you're headed. There is a process
Right.
that must take place along the journey. You have to earn where you're going. And the way that you
Right.
earn where you're going is by your experiences? Do you press through the mess to get to God's best for your life? Because there are going to be, in a true path, there are going to be obstacles in your way. And
Oh
those
yeah,
obstacles are not meant to, they're not meant to stop
to
you
stop you.
unless you're
Yeah,
stoppable. They're not, unless you're
right,
stoppable, they're not meant to stop you. They're meant to teach you something
right.
so that you
And
can
it's
overcome it.
yeah, and it's basically when you hit those blocks, those barricades, it's okay. Don't be stoppable. Go under it, go around it, or go over it to continue, because that's what life's journey is all about. Because we have to embrace those moments and learn from them.
And talk about that because you embraced a very serious moment in time with your health. You know, that
Yeah,
was something that you see. This is about, again, how you said most people just go with the system and they just go where
right,
they're told. They don't buck the system. They don't, they don't own their life. They don't make CEO executive decisions. They just take what the doctor ordered, right? But
right,
you
right.
didn't do that. What did you
No.
do when you faced that health crisis in your life?
So, I was just like any other typical person, following the rules and the regulations and following what, the medical system was telling me and the financial institution, blah, 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 blah. But in 2000, and I was diagnosed as type pre-diabetic in my 40s, because I do come
Mhm.
from a family of type 2 diabetes. My father, his sister, his brother. And so, okay, I have to go on medication. I have to do this. I have to do that. But over the years, my health continued to decline. And I'm like, okay, if I'm on these medications, why is my health not getting better? So in 2018, I had gone to my doctor because of um, some more complications, which were a result of the medications that I was taking. And my doctor wanted to put me onto a sixth medication. And I'm like, well, what? Why? Well, you're having problems with the other five, so we need to counter it with this medication. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Who's to say that this sixth medication a couple years down the road is not going to cause problems like these other five? You're just keeping adding medication after medication. And you're leading me down the same path as my father, who was type 2 diabetic. He ended up having heart disease and a leg amputation, and then he died at 70 with 12 medications on a daily basis. And I said, that's not the path that I want to take. I'm not ready to die. So I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I said, there's got to be another way. Well, no, you can only manage your diabetes with medication. That's the only way that you can manage your diabetes. And I said, well, I disagree with you. There's got to be another way. So I didn't take the medication. I was on a rampant search to do some due diligence and education, because I needed to self-educate myself and not listen to somebody
Mhm.
who is prescribing me medications and making money off of these medications. So I was introduced to the Holistic Chamber of Commerce when I was down here, and I'm like, holistic. I've heard about this, but I've heard that it's all fluff, it's all voodoo, it's all that typical garbage that we're being taught that it's
Right.
not good. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna give it a whirl. So I started to do some research on holistic wellness, and I come across some articles about reversing type 2 diabetes. So I'm like, oh my god, so I just dove in.
Yeah.
During that research, I was introduced to a holistic mental wellness company that actually focuses on the microbiome, which is the gut brain heart axis. So I dove into that a little bit to really understand what is this system. Well, we've had this system since the birth, since Adam and Eve. We have a system that is now being publicized, and research has been done that this microbiome, which is your gut brain heart axis health, is a key component to getting to the root cause of all disease. So I jumped on board with making some lifestyle changes, and In 9 months, I was able to lose 60 pounds, come off of 5 medications, get my reverse my diabetes by getting my numbers down to a state of non-diabetic. Although I still have to watch my my diabetes, which is my sugar levels, which is glucose and A1C, because I'm prone to that from what I've learned is through the foods that we have today that are filled with chemicals and preservatives and all that kind of stuff, and that are not good for us. So with that, I made a lifestyle change and I reversed all that. And now it's like, you know what? There are ways out there that are outside of mainstream medicine that will allow you to get better without medications. It's a matter of learning what those are and you know taking the initiative to do that. And I say that with really firm belief and conviction that we've been destroying our bodies for decades. And it's not going to be that red pill, that blue pill that'll bring you back in a day or two or a week. It's going to take time to rebuild the damage that has been done over decades for those who are in that system and have been on medications, because we're getting people off of medications by ingesting certain plants that address certain things from a physical, mental, emotional perspective, which has been absolutely amazing. And so that was the big thing for me. Is my journey officially started. My health journey started in 2018, and the last thing I'll say here is, on top of that, I was stressed. I was still had depression and anxiety that was at a 10
Mm.
plus for decades. And since I've done that, I have not had depression, even going through COVID, no depression. My anxiety and my stress levels have gone from that 10 plus down to a level 1, because we still get stressed out
Yeah,
from
yeah,
time
that's
to
natural.
time. But rather than react to the stress, I take a step back. I evaluate, okay, why am I being stressed? What am I supposed to learn from this? And what am I supposed to take away from this so I can share it with the next person? And that's been a blessing in disguise, because I went home to a family Christmas. It was Christmas. And my twin brother, who's in regards to stress and anxiety is 10 times worse than me. He reacted to a situation, and I looked and I said, "Oh my God, that was me." And I don't do that anymore, because I was a reactor, and sometimes
Mhm.
violently,
Mm.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
And looking back, I'm
yeah.
like, "Oh my God, I did that." And today, no, nothing, because you're, um, in my ebook, I talk about getting off of how to eliminate stress without our exes. All of these pharmaceuticals, in fact, every pharmaceutical that addresses stress, depression, and anxiety, they cause stress. The side effect is stress and anxiety and depression. And I'm like, wait a minute, So it's like you're fighting the battles here, but God put plants here for a reason. We need to get back to the basics and utilize. And of course, we're not doing that because there is big money in pharmaceuticals today.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, you're so right on so many different fronts. And I used to question myself because I go to the doctors for my physical fitness, I go for my blood work, I go for my mammo. You know, my mom had breast cancer, so I've been doing my mammogram for a long time. And also too, she had colon cancer. So I always do the colonoscopy, and I did
Sure.
the
Sure.
colonoscopy earlier than required for the average person because of the history that's in my family. However, I will say, I never was one of those people who rushed to the doctors because my mom was pretty good at home remedies. So if we got a fever, I knew how to tackle a fever. I knew how to tackle a fever so well that even being a young mother, I was able to do that with
Mm,
my children without being, I wasn't an anxious mom because of my mom and how she took care of me.
sure.
And then also too,
Yeah.
I as a teen was responsible for taking care of my younger brother. So I had that motherly kind of instinct in me early on. So I never ran to the doctors. And listening to what you're saying, I'm so thankful because I could only imagine some of the things that would have been recommended for me to take. I've never taken any kind of blood pressure medicine. I've never had to take any of that kind of stuff. Probably because I never really went to the doctor so much
Right.
that it got to a point where they recommended it. But again, like I said to you in the last segment, was I did experience the hot flashes, and what you had recommended for me nailed it. You know, nailed it. Helped me get out of that. And we don't talk about hot flashes just, we're first of all, we don't talk about hot flashes having cold flashes too. That's
Right.
something that
Yeah.
we don't talk about too. Then we don't talk about where hot flashes come from, the origin
Mhm.
of them. And that's why what your approach is, instead of just listening to doctors, we have to do our own research. And they tell you don't Google things, but Google things, but check the resources. So as a
Right. Right.
scientist in behavioral analysis and things like that, I know the importance of validating the resource, validating your
Right.
source of information. Just
Yeah.
validate
Yeah.
the source. That's all. Dig deeper than just the article that's right in front of you or the media that's trying to tell you this. Find out where the originating, the number one
Right.
resource for the content or the methodology or the approach is being offered. But do your due diligence, because when you do your due diligence, it's a supplemental thing. You're not getting enough
Yeah.
nutrition in your body. That's what's causing the hot
Absolutely.
flashes. It's not just we're getting older. Yeah, we're getting older, but we're depleting ourselves in certain supplements, something
Right. And
vitamins
that's
and things that, like you
yeah.
said,
Yeah.
don't come from a pill. They come from, I eat a lot of, I did until I got here. I got to figure out how to, and I'm doing my research too to find out.
Yeah.
I love blueberries. Blueberries are high in antioxidants, and you just have to
Right.
find out what replaces that blueberry. What other thing resource that's here in the Dominican Republic that I can use that replaces. So you what you're saying is totally important for us to take things into our own hands in the sense of making sure we're making well grounded and choices that are going to be to our benefit, not to our detriment.
Exactly. And the thing too is that people say that I'm just against medicine, and I'm not against medicine. It has its time and its place. And hey, I'm the first one to raise my hand. Give me that morphine when I'm passing a kidney stone. But the reality is that there are so many diseases that have been um, you know coming upon us in this last century. You take 2 centuries ago, you never heard of colon cancer because they didn't have chemicals in their foods. They were feeding off of the earth. They were, eating meat and that were grass fed and not fed these corn and soy that is filled with glyphosate that is poisoning their system and then in turn poisoning our system. So but with that, it's yeah, do your due diligence because there are the old ways that do work, and unfortunately, it's like when we came down to Florida from the Northeast, the first 6 months, I'm like, oh my God, I grew up knowing that Florida is God's waiting room. I'm like, oh my God, most of these people are in the waiting rooms of doctors, and they're not enjoying their retirement because they're always sick.
Wow.
So that's something that people should really look into who are researching and wanting different outcomes because they're not happy with what is happening today.
Yeah, that's yeah, and it's so, just like you said, it's really, and when you take back and you start doing that holistic approach, it's a
Yeah,
cleaner
yeah,
pathway, right? So
right. Yeah,
when you were
absolutely.
talking about the 5 medications that you are already on, all I could think about was my stomach. I cannot, I have to take, I'll use a gummy vitamin, and I have to watch the gummy vitamin too, because you got to watch the quality of that vitamin because there's so
Oh
much
yeah,
sugar. Yeah, there's so much
right.
sugar and garbage in that, to the point where this is really just to appease you. It's really not to be the vitamin that you're looking for it to do. but I need a liquid vitamin as well, because having that sit in my stomach does not work for me. Tossing all those
No.
pills down my throat doesn't work for me. So I have to have something. But when you find that thing that works and your body is responding to it,
Oh yeah.
it
Yeah.
you're talking about when your physical health is right, it aids in your mental health. And if your mental health is right and your physical health is right, it aids in how you're showing up in life, whether you're happy, you're sad. That's
Right.
why it's so important that if you're not happy with where you are, do make the sacrifice, discipline yourself to do the things that are going to cause you to love what you see when you look in the mirror,
Hmm.
love how you feel when you look at your face in the mirror, love the
Correct.
person, the character, the moral decisions that you make. You have got to be able to look at that mirror and say, girl or dude, I love you. You making some
No,
smart
there you go.
moves. You making some smart moves. You want to be.
Right.
So guess what? When the challenges come, this is when it's critical for you to make the decisions that are tough for you, that require
Hmm.
you to sacrifice, that require you to not eat the what is it, the Debbie cake, right, the little Debbie, right?
Oh,
These are the
Little Debbie. The little
these are
Debbie.
yeah, you have got to make the decisions that are hard, but once made, and we learn, once you've done a repetition of this for what was it, 21 days, that you break that habit, you will be thankful. You're thankful when you
Right.
see the results, but you got to get to the results. You got to make the decisions to get to the results. And this is taken into your own hands. That's why I call it,
Mhm.
you are the chief executive officer. You are the
Right.
CEO of your life. Connect with Jeffrey so that you can start making those executive decisions that are tough. Companies that last are tough. They see things that need to be changed, and they change. They pay attention to what's trending and whether it matches their culture, matches where they're going, and then they make the hard, disciplined decisions to shift. And I want to address this, and then I'm gonna let you close us out, Jeffrey. Is that we are systems. We ourselves are a design.
Hmm. Right.
The only
Right.
way we know how we're designed is to take the time to know ourselves. You have to take the
Exactly.
time to know yourself. You have to quiet yourself long enough to see how your body is responding. Like I said, I can feel the difference when I drink those happy drinks, when I do those things. Man, listen, my body, when you are in tune, mind, body, and spirit, you can feel at the cellular level
Oh
your
yeah.
body responding to something. And I'm
Right.
going to leave with a tip, and then I want you to close us out. Is my mom, when I was giving birth to my first daughter, and she did it again with my second daughter. She says, Marissa, when the contractions came and I was in the position to start giving birth, when the contractions came, she said to me, she said, Marissa, relax. Now you say, what? You're in a lot of pain giving birth. That's a lot of
Right.
pain. She said to me, relax. She said, because it lessens the intensity of the pain. Why? Because
Oh
when you're
wow.
relaxing, you're saying, I'm going along with the process. I'm not fighting
Right.
against the process. I'm allowing what's supposed to happen to happen. Now you got to do that mind over matter, right? Because in reality, you like,
Yes.
we should be
Yes.
screaming, we should be
Good advice.
hollering, right? And she left me with what I did with that advice is what I always do. I cross pollinate. Just like I say, you should do a SWOT analysis. Companies do it all the time. You're a business. You yourself are a company. Like I said, you're the CEO of your life. So I say, take the SWOT analysis from the business environment and apply it to yourself. Take succession planning and stop letting corporations use this methodology and use it in your family. That's how
Mhm.
you sustain generational growth in your family. You sustain your family moving forward by preparing the next generation. That's called succession planning. That if anything, God forbid, happens to you, they can rise up, take position, and nothing interrupts the flow and the growth of the family moving forward, doing better and better with each generation. So what I did was, if I stub my toe, immediately, that's pain, right? You stub your toe on the right
Mhm.
day, it's pain. If you hit your shoulder, you hit your head, it's pain. You could pass out
Right.
from this. The pain can become greater
Yeah.
unless you capture the thought of that and say, chill out. All right, I hit my toe. I always say, thank you, Lord, that by your stripes I'm healed. That's my saying. But you could just say automatically, I'm not feeling that. Thank you. I feel that. Tap it out and keep moving. If you do that, I'm going to tell you, you do that, you take control of your body and you
Mhm.
start telling your body what it's going to do. I'm not feeling that. I don't have time for a toe. You check your toe, make sure your
Right.
toenail
Right.
bleeding or anything else, but you check it. But you don't have to go through all that level of pain necessarily. Train yourself to think in a different way. Do not just allow things to tell you what to do. Start telling them what
Right.
to do. It close us out because you are the starting of that. You are the starting of the
Yeah.
shifting of the
Yeah.
mindset and how it affects the whole body, mind, body, spirit, and financially. So we're going to tap into that too. We're going to head towards
Right.
that. But close us out,
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
Exactly. So, yeah, I think that the big thing here is that unfortunately, a majority of us have been traveling a path to self destruction with regards to the food system, the medical system. For right now, I'm going to say we'll address the other things later. And the idea here is that it's going to take some time to really correct all the wrong that we've done that we thought we were doing okay with. But you go back to the sugar aspect of it, and that started way back, and um, it got us hooked on eating sweet things when in fact sugar is it's the cocaine of the legal cocaine of the world, and it is the catalyst that leads towards cancer and all disease because everything feeds off of sugar, unfortunately. So with that, what I've learned through my journey is as you start to feed your body, and I'm talking physically and mentally, the right um, the right formula, because there's a lot of elements within that formula. Your body will respond, and it responds amazingly. Yeah, it took me 9 months, but the first 3 months I wanted to quit. It was hard, but all I thought was I saw my father in his casket saying, I don't want to end up like that early in my life because that's where the doctors were driving me to was an early death.
Wow.
And that kept me pushing through those hard times because we want everything so easy. And when we've done the damage that we've done to our bodies, it's going to take hard work, dedicated work. But I'll tell you, damn it, it's been worth it. It has been worth it to push through those hard times and really understand outside of what we've been being taught what is good for us. We have to find out what is good for ourselves as the CEO because everybody has different, a different metabolism, if you will. And there are certain things that are good for certain people, and some things are not good for other people.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and you have to learn that along your journey and keep track of that. So, keep an open mind, be open, be open. If you're out there struggling, if you're out there looking for other options because you're frustrated with your doctors, and again, I don't take away from doctors because that's the way they were trained. The system was put together to train doctors to prescribe medications, and that happened back in the early 1900s when big pharma came into play. And it's like, oh, we got to create a business to push drugs. So it is what it is, but there's a way to get out of that broken system and go from a centralized to a decentralized system because there are many of them out there that are being squashed by mainstream media. But those of us who are out there are passionate about helping people. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, and that you said it. Get out of the cycle, that
Right.
vicious cycle of taking medication. And so I'm excited because we are continuing this conversation. So those of you who you find this intriguing, reach out to Jeffrey directly. Connect with him on the ticker. You see his contact information is there. Grab some coffee, tea, whatever it is that you desire to drink, and have a chat with Jeffrey to find
Right.
out more. There's so much more to this conversation that needs to be done on a one-to-one basis, because this is all personal, right? And
Yep.
every scenario is different. And he's here to help you get a harness on what it is that's going on in your life, and then help you to have a holistic approach to it. And also, you can check out his articles in the Own It magazine. If you're interested, you connect with Jeffrey, let him know, give him your email address. We'll add you to the subscribers list and get you on the subscribers list. And you can read his articles, because his articles are in Phoenix Fitness magazine. They're also in the Own It magazine. And you can get a plethora of information that is going to help you on your journey and stay consistently informed of everything that Jeffrey offers, and all that's going on out here. So we just thank you so very much. We're looking forward for our next conversation, because our next conversation, we're going to dive in deep into Jeffrey's coaching programs and all that he does and all that he offers. So if you want to know about that, you better stay tuned. We're out. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Bye.